Hey, Biff, how do you win arguments with your family at this Thanksgiving dinner?
I really hate this. How do you win arguments with your family at Thanksgiving dinner?
Hit the end meeting button. Just hit the end meeting button.
Yeah.
No, not now, not now, no. Okay, all right. I was just that was a punchline to the joke. I wasn't telling you to hit the end meeting button, but I don't blame you. I don't. But hey, more importantly, Biff, how many cooks does it take to stuff a Thanksgiving turkey?
How many cooks does it take to stuff a Thanksgiving turkey, Jacques?
Just one, but you really have to force him in there. So you really have to force him in there.
Just kill me now.
Konnichiwa, Biff.
Yeah. How's it going?
Things are good. Are you good?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah.
A little better 2 minutes ago.
No, I'm just saying just a little better when it's like, for a while, I got to say it's been good for a long time, and I could start watching the news, and then now I don't want to watch the news again.
I didn't even know if we would talk about it. I know we kind of have to, but I don't want to get too much into it.
Yeah.
Management called in tears about 5 minutes after I heard the news, and I told her, I said, if we start talking, I'm either going to start crying myself or I'm going to go into rage mode.
Yeah.
And one of the worst travesties of justice. It's absolutely legal now to take firearms and shoot unarmed protesters in another state. I can't get into the whole case because we all know it. We all know what we're talking about. The judge so openly racist. The judge so openly. At the same time, starting the trial by saying you can't call them victims. You can call them looters. You can call them rioters. But these 3 unarmed people who were shot are not allowed to be called victims.
I think that's where the outcome may have been the same anyway, but I guess that's where it was just so hard because it just seemed like from the start, this was being, shepherded in a certain direction, right? And then when you get that confirmation, then it's like, that's how it works.
And look, dude, here's what really, I can't say it's the awful part. And again, I apologize to everybody. There might be a bunch of first-time listeners because of the event we had the other night. It's not going to be all political and all doom and gloom. But the fact that Matt Gaetz, who should be in jail, offered him a job on national television 2 days ago, gave an interview and said, I'm going to reach out to him. He'd make a great intern. What would make him a great intern? Because he had mommy drive him and his gun to another state that he had no connection to shoot people. That what really scares me, Biff, is it's just the license that this gives. Like Donnie Two Scoop gave a license to Nazis to come out of the shadows and be loud and proud 5 years ago. What does this give license to people to do?
I have a lot less of an issue with that aspect of it. I just have more of an issue with, we're just going backwards and backwards with a lot of these things, right? That's where it seemed like there were periods where we thought we were making some headway with some activism, and then there was pushback, and now like the pushback just seems stronger, right?
Jim Gaffigan had a joke when after the 2016 election, and he's like, yeah, I know people are really worried, but I have to be honest, as a middle-aged white man, as a straight middle-aged white man, I think I'm going to be okay. And me, I'm going to be fine. Yeah. I'm going to be fine. I'm not going to get profiled. My life won't change. My life will be the same. However, so many people I absolutely love, so many people who I really care about. I mean, just the kick in the pants that this is to, everybody else. I mean, honestly, all joking aside, it's like, the other trial that's going on right now, about Ahmaud Arbery and stuff like that, and their defense lawyers for those murderers coming out saying, yeah, we have too many black ministers in the church. It's a distraction. It's like no more black ministers in the church. It's like, wait, what? This community that this Ahmaud Arbery is from, is a big community of faith, and you're saying their faith leaders can't hold the family's hand while having to sit through a trial talking about shooting their loved one. Anyway, we've taken one step forward and 50 steps back.
Yeah. Anyway,
welcome to 1963 America, everybody. As the straight white guy of the podcast, I think it's going to work out for me, Biff.
Yeah.
So enough of that. But let's talk about some happy stuff.
Sure.
Not 1,000% sure what next week's sideshow is, but I believe it's going to be kind of a recap of Joe's Basement, the retro video game night. That, I can't say that I produced and put together. I can't, because I sort of came up with it, but not that it's a revolutionary idea.
Sure.
I got the venue locked away. I got a retailer, our good friend at Replay, Brian, to come and bring some stuff. But truly, even though I was dressed as Luigi and he wasn't cosplaying at all, the real superhero of the day was Joe.
Of course.
He found me that 2600 Atari system, but not only that, he came over last Saturday to make sure it was working. And I don't jokingly mean, he came and played video games. No, he took the damn thing apart because some of the games weren't working right. There were some loose connections. And it's funny because Joe, as only Joe can do, says, yeah, I was watching the other day on these systems and kind of how to fix them. I'm like, I want to see how many views that video had that he had. But he did. And he brought Superman over.
So any chance he could fix this loose connection inside your head?
No, dude, if he tried. Dude, 4 years of doing this podcast, he tried. God bless him.
Is there a YouTube for that?
If there was. But seriously, so last Saturday he came over. He brought a couple other systems. He brought a couple of those, CRT TVs to make sure that everything hooked up.
Right.
And we had confirmed with Brian, but we weren't 1,000% sure. So, just to be safe, Joe brought a bunch of his TVs. He brought 3 TVs.
That's funny.
He brought his systems. He got there early. He helped set him up. He brought all the podcast system. He brought the old, the mixer boards.
Yeah.
He set it all. Honestly, I was dressed as Luigi. A couple of the people were there cosplaying, but maybe he was wearing tights and capes under his uniform. but Joe's Basement was a huge success because of Joe.
He was dressed as a Ghostbuster on a day off.
I like that. One of the local people were there. We'll talk about it on next week's podcast, but it was a raving success.
Yeah, it sounded like it sounded like it was real cool.
I'll be honest.
Yep.
I felt, and I mean this, I felt like George Bailey at the end of It's a Wonderful Life, because a few friends who I haven't seen in a while, this was my first event producing locally since the pandemic. And I grew up next to this kid, Mike Sullivan, who's been on the podcast, who, is my Plex junkie, and we will be talking about him later in the podcast. But there was these 2 kids, Mike Galandrell on one side, Mike, Sullivan on the other. Mike drove 2 towns away to pick up his niece, nephew. His wife came. One of his best friends, Dan, came, and Dan's son, Brady, came. And it's like in a small room that, 30 people make it look packed. Just him coming with 6 people was huge. My other friend, Mike, who I haven't seen, I don't think I've seen since the pandemic. And he's just one of the, I mean, truly, I will talk about him when we get into video games in a bit. We talk the retro thing. Yeah. But I grew up next to him, and we didn't have a game system, but I would skip school and go into his house. He would come home from school and see me sitting in his living room.
His was the house.
But he and his son showed up, and my best friend from high school, Ron, showed up with his 2 kids. I mean, just those people alone, then management and my two kids. I mean, that was nearly 20 people. So there was a lot more than that, but it was a good start. And as soon as I saw like 10 people around the room playing games, and then my friends filtered in and stuff, I'm like, oh shit, they're going to ask me to do this again. This was a success. and then the local newspaper showed up, and they're going to write an article about it. Well, when I say local, I mean the Lowell Sun. I mean,
I get it.
100-year plus, 200-year plus newspaper, I think it is. But again, it doesn't happen. I named it in Joe's honor because when we walked into replay and my little guy looked around and goes, oh my God, this place looks like Joe's basement. So I thought, hey, what a nice tip of the cap to my brother Joe. But the fact that 2 weeks before he really started moving heaven and earth to make it a success. Right. And that's the other one. Like I said, between my friend Ron, between Joe coming with his two awesome kids, my friend Mike, my other friend Mike, my brother Daryl, my other brother Daryl. I mean, just those guys, management and my boys. It was like, dude, it was awesome, Biff. I mean, honestly, I even though it's Thanksgiving in a few days, I felt like George Bailey at the end of It's a Wonderful Life.
There you go.
Thanksgiving plans. How much are you cooking?
Not a horrendous amount. Thanksgiving often has actually been pretty light for us in terms of stuff to do because we don't do the turkey. Turkey is a real pain to do. If you don't do the turkey, it's not as bad, even if you do a big hunk of meat. So yeah, no turkey this year, as per just most years. Also, it's just we're not in it enough, and then we don't want days and days of leftovers.
What will be the some fish? Will you be fishing for your own fish? Or?
No. I'm playing in the morning. So
are okay.
Yeah, I'm playing this session in the morning. Get myself a little bit of exercise. That's an excuse to essentially, do. I mean, there's no way that I could exercise the calories I take in, but it's wishful thinking. But yeah, and it'll be a hunk of meat. So. Hunk of beef,
anybody coming over or just the three of us?
Not at this point, but we'll see. I mean, things change quickly in my
so management and I have been on our different programs and doing very well, but it's going to be because we set the same thing. It's like, we're both going, if we can run, if it's not 20 degrees, we'll both do, the 5K, maybe 4 miles beforehand, knowing that it's like, yeah, that's a drop in the bucket compared to what we're going to eat the next. But I gave myself a 3-day window.
Right.
I'm going to work out Wednesday, but Wednesday night through the Patriots game that Sunday, you know what I mean? I'm actually going to enjoy life.
Yeah, you should.
I'm hoping
you've been doing well
to keep it within. So last night we go to this restaurant we go to periodically, the Border Cafe. We sit down, and dude, it was. The boys had kickboxing. We go over. It's a Mexican restaurant. It's a really good, cheap Mexican restaurant for Boston, which means, my God, I miss real Mexican restaurants.
Sure.
But the waiter came over and management said, we're ready to order because it's the same thing. She, the boys get the same thing. It's, and she's ordering. He goes, oh, you guys have been here before, right? And we're like, oh yeah, all the time. And we're thinking he's saying that just because he looks at me and goes, have you lost a lot of weight? And I look at management and I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah, no, I've seen you before, but I didn't recognize you when you walked in. And then I recognized the boy. And he goes, I recognize the boy's hair.
Yeah, of course.
Our boys.
That's what I was just going to say.
Because I recognize the boy's hair. But it goes, but you lost a lot of weight. And I'm like, yeah, I got really embarrassed. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, a couple pounds. And then he was asking me how and all this. But as soon as he said it, I kind of comically pushed the chips and salsa away, and Ellen and him just, just started like laughing and they had a good joke about it. But that said, I'm giving myself, I want to keep it within 10 pounds, like 4 days, 10 pounds. And then by Christmas, I hope to lose it because I plan to put it all on again between Christmas and let's say the boys going back to school. I think it's the 3rd, I'll start my program. And then honestly, from then to Phoenix, as long as as what's a good comparison? Like, like John's a freak of nature and All Star's a freak of nature and Scotty Black's a freak of nature. I'm trying to think of who as long as I'm thinner than like, Trufani, like, I'll be,
Sure.
I'll be
Better
fine.
than me, certainly. So,
But no, I do. I plan to, Biff, I do plan to have 4 months go out the window in 4 days. That's my plan.
Sure, why not? Why the hell not? That's why you work for so long.
So, my wife, loves the royal family of England.
Yep.
And all that stuff. She worked for Muslim royalty, but there's other monarchies out there, Biff.
Yeah. So, from my homeland, Princess Mako from Japan basically abdicated her, I don't know what you call it, not her, she was never on the throne, but essentially she's no longer a royal. She married a commoner, and so there was a whole lot of drama surrounding it, but now they've moved to New York, and in Japan there was a lot of intrigue, partly because her now husband, the mother had some kind of a weird financial situation where there was some money that was given to her by her former fiance that she thought was a gift, and the fiance said, well, no, not exactly. So there was this thing where he was essentially asking for the money back, and then of course anything newsworthy around the royal family, even there, kind of gets kind of ugly. So, but they resolved that stuff and whatever. So the dude actually has been going to school in New York at Fordham University for a while. He graduated, and I guess he's continuing. He's got a job with a law firm in New York City, and so now they've moved over. But it's the kind of if you look at just the situation, there was a whole thing of the royal surrendering their royal status, and then there was an issue with the spouse and some of the the whatever. But all in all, freaking boring compared to Meghan and Harry, and boring in every single way. Even personality wise, not that much fun. But we'll see. Maybe if now that they're no longer royal, maybe she'll lighten up a bit. But yeah, so far not fun at all.
Where did she fall? Like, and I don't know. Excuse my ongoing ignorance towards your homeland.
Yeah.
Can women be the queen?
No. Yeah. She couldn't. Yeah. So only a male can.
Only a man. Okay.
Right. And
the way it should be, like you were saying off air, right?
Whatever. I mean, but ultimately, there's a lot of weird things. Like, this is the first time she's had a last name, because the imperial family doesn't have they don't have last names.
That's fair.
It's like
the shit that I don't know would fill the Tokyo Dome 10 times over.
Yeah.
Dude, that's amazing. I did not know that, but
I thought that was weird. Yeah,
but
I did not know it either, by the way.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
interesting.
I mean, it's one of those things where I never thought about it, right? Because they only referred to her by her first name, but it's one of those things where that's just what they I think in terms of that's what they call her, and not in terms of they only call her by her first name because she doesn't have a last name. Like, that concept never entered my mind.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah.
Like Harry is like so far removed from the throne.
Right.
It's like in the show Battlestar Galactica, where like 99% of the population was wiped out by the Cylons in the first battle, and it turns out the woman who becomes president was like 47th in line. Yeah. She was like head of the education department, but because everybody else in succession,
the way the Queen's been behaving, it's like maybe Harry was actually closer to the throne than his dad.
But I only know this because management follows it. But basically, they went. It goes to his father,
right,
and then it goes to his older brother,
right,
and then it goes to his older brother's kids,
right, yep.
Before it goes to him, and it used to be his older brother's sons, but they changed that. They changed that rule. So Elizabeth, Victoria could, could be queen. And but yeah, so every time his brother cranks out a kid, he kicks him one notch down. So in case, but yeah, but it's funny. It will be interesting to see if Marco gets the and you know how horrible I am with names, especially ethnic names, but Marco was the name of the Japanese woman in Pacific Rim. So I will remember Princess Mako because of that.
It's
Thank
Mako. It's Mako. There's no R in there.
You say potato. I'm a racist. But will she get the sit down interview with Oprah at one point?
Entirely possible, but I don't know if Oprah will care enough to be even bothered with that.
No, and when you say commoner, it's like, are all the other people in the royal families at arranged marriages?
I think there's these lineages that certain people have that allow them to be eligible, I guess, somehow.
It's one
of these BS things,
It all BS. So we're gonna circle back and talk about Joe a little bit more, because Joe texted me today. So 2 weeks ago, he finds me the 2600. He's like, here's where I'm driving now. And he's gotten into, there's a podcast. There's a comedian. He just sent me, Joe just said, oh, Pete Holmes, who's from the town, a local town, right around here, Lexington. And both these guys grew up in Boston and stuff like that. But I think it's called like the TV Guide Club, where randomly they go through an old TV guide. Like that's the whole thing, just Joe kind of does that too. And it's funny because there's a Super 70s sports thing, that randomly will have like, you knew shit was real on Wednesdays in 74 when Barnaby Jones was on, and it will have a, the breakdown of that episode of Barnaby Jones. So Joe did, some guy had a come and get it sale for a treasure trove of old TV guides. Ooh. Which Joe was excited, and he still is. It didn't rain on the parade, but they were TV guys from like New York. So it was all like all local ads and like local Channel 7 thing. Yeah. But they're from the 70s and stuff. And I'm like, oh, Joe and I we're such losers. We really are. I mean, the thought of, I'm hoping that maybe this weekend Joe comes over, because his son, my oldest son, I said, hey, can we start doing piano in person? And Joe's son is my son's piano teacher.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just hoping Joe comes over and management gets to play some more Superman on the 2600, and Joe can be here to fix up the paddles, and we can thumb through old TV guys like normal people used to thumb through. Like for me, to watch, because Joe and I just realized like last week, because sadly, he's like, yeah, you were talking on the podcast how we never watched Ghostbusters together here. It hit me a couple weeks ago. I was watching Tommy Boy. It's like, you and I have never watched Tommy Boy together. So now Joe and I are going to put together a list of movies that I would invite you to watch with us if next time. But I can't do that to you, Biff. I like you too much. and to watch, I mean, I can't imagine. When Joe and I watch things together, there are no flies on the wall. The flies don't want any part. Because we watched the Paul Lynde Halloween special a few weeks ago. Nobody should have been that happy to watch that together, But maybe, yeah. So Joe came up with a whole treasure trove of that. So I said it a few weeks ago. I'll say it again. Hey, everybody, Craigslist just isn't for hookers.
I thought Craigslist took that shit out. There was something that happened.
I saw like a mini documentary on that. It was like on MSNBC, but they move it around, and there's this whole code thing and stuff like that. But
is that right? No,
but you know what?
Of course there is.
There aren't. How many licensed massage therapists do you think are really not working at like legit spas at nice hotels, or at like Massage Envy that you see at the mall? Yeah, those people aren't advertising on Craigslist, Biff.
Yeah, okay.
Or so I assume. So speaking of rabbit holes, again, my buddy Mike, who brought a whole bunch of people with him to the retro game the other day. I've been talking about the Hammer film rabbit hole I fell down.
Right. I saw that. Yeah.
I had another episode the other night where, dude, I rented one movie. I'm trying to think I think it was like Frankenstein Must Die, and I couldn't find it, and it was only available to rent for like $3. I'm like, happy to do it. I was happy to do it. I was happy. It was restored. It looked great. I would have bought it if I could because I'll watch it again. Yep. But it was only there for rent. But Frankenstein Creates a Woman, which is one of the 7 Frankenstein movies in the Hammer library, one of only 6, because for one of them it didn't have Peter Cushing. Can't find it, dude. You can find the original trailers on YouTube, but that's it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of those kinds of things, right? Yeah.
So Joe was here fixing, and seriously, we couldn't find the Superman game for Atari when we went to the Retro World. Joe brought it.
Okay. Oh.
And management. Oh, she was it was to sidebar. She came downstairs. It was all set up. She lit up like a Christmas tree, and she sat down. And even Joe and I were like, have you been sneaking off playing this somewhere? Because she remembered all the shit. She remembered all this shit that it's like, oh, right. The kryptonite floats around. If you get hit by kryptonite, then you have to fly around and fly Lois, and Lois kisses you and it restores your health.
That's hilarious.
Oh, it was so great. But
that's hilarious.
But so Joe's with me, and I'm like, okay, time this. And I text my friend Mike, and I'm like, hey, man, if you happen to be on the dark web tonight, because he has a Plex account, and I'm like, if you happen to be able to find Frankenstein, it wasn't 20 minutes. Yeah. And I don't know what he was doing when I had texted him at the time, if he was in the shower.
Sure.
And the mad throes of passion with the wife, or just living his life. But he's like, yep, downloading now. It will be up in about an hour. And I'm like, fucking dude.
That's funny.
It is crazy. But that's when you ask him what his hobby is. It's fine. I mean, you're not putting him out. Right. He's looking, he's almost waiting for that. But speaking about putting out, the city of Worcester is getting its own Monopoly board.
Worcester.
It's like one of only like 4 or 5 cities around the country getting it.
Oh, really? I didn't realize. Okay, that's cool.
And
because I seem to remember one. I thought Honolulu had one for some reason. So
this is officially licensed through Park Brothers. So maybe they made their own.
Oh, maybe
which is possible.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of people, the baseball team, my friend runs the Worcester Bravehearts. They were all excited. And there was a small bar that's been there for like 50, 60 years. It's not
Ralph's.
It's not Ralph's. Nope. Ralph's is one. Dude, Ralph's.
Why don't you explain Ralph's? And I will come in after you explain Ralph's because I've been there. So why don't you explain Ralph's?
Ralph's, gosh. Can I just say it's the Middle East Cafe of Worcester? It's it's this really cool rock club that on the bottom floor is a diner. It's like a diner that they decided, let's put this diner next to this old building and refurbish the upstairs. It kind of looks a little Berlinish after the Allied forces came in, but a great sound system. But it's this eclectic rock club, and dude, like the parking lot looks like it's been carpet bombed.
Yeah. But it's a massive parking lot though.
But it's this fun. It sounds great, but it's a rite of passage. You can't be a Boston rock band unless you've done your tour of duty at Ralph's.
Yeah,
and it might be because Dan won't play shows anymore. I'd have to think Ralph's might be the last place that, Joe and I had this kid's band opened up for us, Gold Star Boulevard, a local band. Our friend, the Rationales, played, and and so honestly, it's a dive. But It's a dive that's been there, like you said. It's been there 50 years.
Yeah.
And you,
Okay.
who have you seen in there?
I have not seen anybody there.
Oh, you haven't, but you've eaten there.
So what happened was that actually just a few doors down from Rouse is a hotel. It's like a Marriott, and I had arrived there. I had no car because I was there was a car was being shared with other members of my work colleagues. So I had no car. So I need a place that's open kind of late, and it's in walking distance. And this place is walking distance. I go in there, and so maybe they have like there's a downstairs. You said, and there's real food downstairs.
A real deli, an old school.
I wonder if the real deli part isn't open so late, or maybe it is still open.
Well, you got to walk around. Like it's a different entrance type thing.
So I was clueless. I walked through the front, and then I walked up to the bar area, and they had like 6 items on the menu. And so I said, well, you know what? I'll eat a burger. I don't care. And I watched some 80s movie. Burger was fine.
Yep.
But you walk into the bathroom, and the bathroom stall doors are adorned with pages from like 70s Playboys. So I thought, yeah, that's a little bit different.
You know where else has that? Oh gosh, there's like 3 of them in LA. One of them on 3rd Street Promenade. It has its menu looks like a newspaper, but it has like a 10-page like newspaper menu. If you say it, I'll think about it.
No clue.
But there's there was one in North Hollywood, and it had like this anti-homophobic sign like from the 60s that they still keep there. You know what I mean? It's like, it's hysterical, but the same thing, like that bathroom is all the comics from the Playboys in the 70s.
Yeah.
I think it's all one artist. But yeah, that is Ralph's. But anyway, so this one bar like 6 months ago had a welcome to Worcester kickoff like Monopoly party, and it got all this media, and it's like everybody like you had to come dressed as like the guy from the Monopoly board and all this stuff, and it was a huge thing. Yeah, then they were told it's like to be a property on this, it's like $7,000 to $20,000.
Wow.
Like it's a buy-in. It's like, dude, it's like, so yeah. So the Applebee's of Worcester is going to get, so they actually had, in this day and age of like, censoring books and stuff like that, they had a Monopoly, like you get a free beer if you bring an old Monopoly game for us to put through the shredder. So it went from, oh man, this is great, we're getting a Monopoly board, to fuck you, Parker Brothers, pack your shit and go. Like I have a lot of Worcester friends and stuff like that, and all of them are like, dude, that's bullshit. It's like, yeah, the Worcester Red Sox have been here for a year. The Bravehearts have been here forever. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I get it. There's some things you're going to put, iconic and this and that, the other thing. But if you're going to leave out Ralph's, you know what I mean? If a new chain club comes there or whatever, it's like, dude, that's just not cool, man.
And you know what's sad? The band that's playing at Ralph's tonight, I would have gone to see.
Oh,
that's crazy.
Whoa.
I just looked them up. Looked up Ralph's Diner and said, "Hey, it's a band called Raven." It's a band that essentially came out same time as, they're kind of closely linked to bands like Iron Maiden. There was a movement of all these British bands that came out kind of at the same time. There's
cool.
There's actually a movement called the New Wave of British Heavy Metal, and they were one of the players in there. But it's like holy Christ, like freaking Raven all the way in Worcester. Crazy.
No, that is awesome. Like I said, it's a real club. Everybody's played there. I mean, I'm gonna say it's a 200-person room.
Yeah.
Maybe
maybe a little more, right? I mean,
maybe, yeah.
I mean, it looks about the size of whiskey, and whiskey is supposed to be 500. So
is it real? No, because maybe
because it's a little bit more spread out, right? You kind of wraps around a little bit more.
It does, right? Yeah. Exactly. Biff, I got my COVID booster.
Congratulations! Congratulations. Well, you're not done. You got your booster.
I got my booster.
I see your next booster.
I'm still wearing a mask when
Yeah.
I've been going back to the gym on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But the first time 2 days ago was the first time I had a not an episode at the gym, but
Okay.
I'm on the Stairmaster and there's a couple other open ones around, and somebody decides they're going to get on the one right next to me. And I'm like, and I didn't say anything. I just put my mask on. Like, it's like, if what am I going to say? You know what I mean? It's like, am I like, I was 22 minutes. I was 22 minutes into a half. Now, was I trying to squeeze one out? Sure. I would have had no problem ripping a good old fart.
If you went, in your cosplay outfits, people will give you better distance at the gym. I'm just wondering.
Biff, I had a Batman shirt on and a Batman mask and a Batman towel. No. How much more? If I go in all Luigi out, yeah.
I actually, you know what does work? If you go in with a full, Joker makeup, I think you get like a 15-foot radius at all times. White dude with a Joker makeup. I think that's gonna work.
Yeah, I'm quite sure the sweating to the oldies while I'm doing it will work out.
Like you care.
But I did.
Because my car's gonna get dirty.
No, it's like it's your car. It's that's true. But I did. And in the state of Massachusetts, again, they just said, yeah, we're not waiting. And anybody over 18, come get your booster. If it's been 6 months. We're not going to wait
over here. I think they just opened it up to everybody. I think like this week, where it says, "Yeah, have a nice day." And you know what? From the start, from all I've been hearing and reading, the drugstores that they just don't really care. They just say, "Yeah,
just come in." Yeah. And it's the same thing, it's funny when I brought my little guy 11 like last week, and he was so super excited, super excited. They're like, "Are you his dad?" Like, "Yep, sign here." Not like, you got a passport, you got this, it's like, I think they're taking the attitude, if you want to fucking get, this, please come in. You know what I mean? It's like, just please come in. Yeah. So speaking about Batman, Vermont Senator Leahy, who's been a senator, I think his first term in office was about 3 years before the Declaration was signed, right? That's where I was going. Like he spell checked Hamilton's first draft of and he is not seeking re-election, which I get, good for him. It's time to write off. My big question is, will he be in the next Batman movie? Because he's been in 6 Batman movies.
That's funny.
His most juicy role, and it's funny that I put this on the rundown. It's funny you brought this up. In A Dark Knight Returns with Heath Ledger, when they break into the Harvey Dent party that Bruce Wayne's having for him, and the old guy's like, "We're not scared of you." You remind me of my father. I hated my father. You know what I mean? That's Leahy. That's Senator Leahy.
I didn't even notice. And I know what he looks like, but I didn't even notice.
Yeah. I mean, he was in Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
He's done voices on Batman, the animated series. Yeah.
I had no idea.
He was a huge Batman fan as a kid.
Yeah.
Like a lifelong Batman guy that they threw him a bone in the 90s. And they're like, "Hey, let's get Senator Leahy, here." But that was his. So honestly, he's retiring. I really hope that, the Democrats keep that seat. But more importantly, Biff, I hope he's in the Robert Pattinson Batman movie.
Yeah, that would be cool.
All right. Now we've talked about crime in our country falling apart here. Tell us about that cesspool. Well, since since Margot has left, it seems Japan is just,
I tell you,
chaos. Her leaving has slipped you guys into chaos.
Yeah. So fortunately, they caught this sleaze bag, and literally is a sleaze bag, who was found with maybe around 50 of these rail pass holders that he's stolen from essentially teenage girls, and so he prowls around the Tokyo rail systems, and then basically kind of steals these rail passes. And according to him, he basically, if he sees like a girl that he thinks is cute, he just has to have something that belong to her. So apparently he chose rail pass, which is like a jerk move, because if you did the normal pervert thing, like try to steal like, a piece of garment, you know what? That's like whatever, $10. But rail pass holders are like the rail passes are monthly rail passes, and they're expensive. They're like a couple $100, stuff like that. So it's like it's a total jerk move.
It is a total jerk move, but they got him.
Thankfully, they caught him.
Again, second episode in a row where you send a clip that doesn't have any great CGI or bad CGI.
They actually have been skimping on that. It's actually been, I've been very disappointed. There was another one that I almost sent you where there was an incident where these commercial fishermen actually had some fish that they had in the port. Like essentially they have these nettings, right, where they keep the fish live before they ship it out to market overnight. And some douchebag stole these fish, and I thought, yeah, I could do that one, but I decided to go for the child predator prowler instead. So yeah,
I knew, because a lot of it does a pan across the wallets, and there's some Hello Kitties, there's some Snoopies, and I'm like, is this some lost and found thing? Is this some guy, but more heinous than that? Well, now we know why she moved to Commoner and got the fuck out of there.
I don't think she's ever taken public transit, to be honest. So it's going to be interesting. She goes from Tokyo in, always in limo rides to New York subway. So,
I mean, the less woke me would have asked, well, if she didn't take subways, was it always a rickshaw? But you know what? I've grown. I think that would be culturally insensitive for me to say that. That's why I didn't make that joke, Biff. That's why I didn't make that joke.
Lovely.
You know what? I am a racist, and we talked about it 2 episodes ago.
Sure.
The election in Lowell, I voted the straight non-whitey ticket.
Yep. How'd that go?
Dude, it went well. Like literally, there's so much more diversity on the city council now.
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy about that. The one guy who was anti-mask in school was voted out, so I'm very, very happy about that. But I had another racist moment this week that I'm going to cop to.
Just one?
Well, one that I'm going to cop to.
Oh, okay.
Biff. It was a few years ago. Joe got me, and he got me good. He's like, let's play How Racist is Jacques, and he had game show music, and he's like, Jacques, who plays Captain America? And I'm like, Chris Evans. Who plays Iron Man? I'm like, Tony Stark. Who plays Thor? I'm like, Chris Hemsworth. He's like, who plays T'Challa in the Black Panther? And he knew the movie. I didn't know Chadwick Boseman at the time. Right. I now know, but he just wanted to embarrass me. I had another one of those moments, Biff, where I can't tell certain people apart. I just can't.
Oh boy.
And my wife of Korean descent was flabbergasted and upset. And it's not the first time I made this mistake with these 2 people, Biff.
Okay.
I confused Jean Smart with Allison Janney. Middle-aged white women, I guess, all look the same to me.
They're so different.
I know. So you're taking her side. So you're taking her side. No,
I mean, even personality-wise, they're
because
very different.
I saw Allison Janney on a promo for something. I'm like, oh my God, she was so great in Hacks. And she stopped the TV. She's like, Hacks, the show about the much older female comics. It's like, yeah, you think that's the woman who played. And then she called up a picture. She's like, they're different people, Jacques.
Yeah. So I mean, because she's the one that wasn't designing women, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
No, they do. They're 15, 20 years apart. I mean, dude,
Allison Janney was in West Wing.
I know.
They're like so different.
Dude, I know.
Like, I mean, the Hollywood does the, I think famously Carrie Fisher talked about how her mom, how her dad married a clone of her mom, Connie Francis, right?
Yes.
So like Connie Francis was literally made out to be, the poor, the poor man's Debbie Reynolds, right? I mean, so yeah, if you got those 2 confused, yeah, they try to do that. Same thing with what's her face, that they try to make look like Marilyn Monroe.
Right,
I can't remember, Jay Mansfield.
Yeah. So
By the way,
seriously,
do you know Jay Mansfield's daughter is the main actress on whatchamacallits? SVU?
there are some times where management and I we used to watch that show and then we kind of stopped watching it. And every now and then I'll binge watch it. And I hate it. I hate it so much. I mean,
it's a pretty tough watch. Right?
It's a tough watch.
Yeah.
Dude, there are some times where she turns certain ways and light hits her in certain ways. And both management and I have frozen it. It's like, it's her mother.
Yeah.
She is so classically 50s Hollywood beautiful. There was just some times where she is just stunning in that old Hollywood way. And it's like, and you wonder if the DP like backlights it a certain way. It's like, oh, I was watching on the water with a mom. And it's like, let's do a shot where she comes out of here and she turns dude, there were just some, I mean, you can see it. She's always attractive, but there's some times where it's like, it just hits you. It just, wow, she is her mom. And it is great. I think we covered enough video game stuff with it.
Okay.
So let's get into sports. So I text Biff and everybody. So Joe didn't jump on this podcast, but it's all about Joe. Joe and I went to, when he came over last Saturday to fix all the games, I looked at the schedule. I've been threatening forever to take my boys. And one of my boys had like a friend over. And it was like, we've been in the house playing games all day. We're doing this. Let's get the fuck out of here. And I took everybody to see the ULOL men's ice hockey game.
Yeah. Always, that's what's great about your area, right? You have several places where you could, catch, the Hockey East guys, right? So,
and what's crazy, honestly, for, let's wind the clock back 5 years ago. 5 years ago, you could go, maybe it was like 5 or 6 years ago, but there was an AHL team.
Yep.
In Lowell, the same time there was a college hockey team.
Yeah.
And the Bruins are the Bruins, but you can drive 40 minutes in one direction and you can see Holy Cross play. Oh, wait, Holy Cross isn't playing tonight. The Worcester Sharks, the San Jose Sharks AAA team is, like before the NHL had that radius clause thing, within an hour of my house, I want to say there was 5 AHL teams and I don't know, 8 NCAA men's hockey teams.
Sure. Yeah. If not more, right? I mean, look, you look at the Beanpot.
Oh, dude,
all the teams that do Beanpot are all kind of within your
8 miles
striking range, right?
Those 4 teams are all, and they're not just, there just happens to be a dozen NCAA teams within an hour of my house. There's a dozen NCAA teams, 6 of them which are in the top 10. You know what I mean?
Right.
And ULOL college hockey is just, it's the same sport. Mm-hmm. But dude, it's such a different atmosphere. The big brass college band, playing. And but honestly, I of course gave shit to our friend Taylor because for the 6 of us, 2 cars went and the parking less than 1 ticket to the Kings game. One.
What are you talking
and I'm not
about?
talking. Well, like I said, how would I know? I assume.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
But it was great.
You still paid more than my last Kings game.
Yes. I think I can go to, but it was so, and if you start working out and you travel back here, we're going to go to college hockey games. They're so much fun. I'm not going back into this show being 1/3 half Patriot talk. I will say this, last year, Tom Brady was here. He was such a whiny prick. And the second to last year where he was here, the year that they didn't win the Super Bowl to the Eagles, about 6 weeks left in the season, they started airing and it was on like YouTube. He paid for it. He produced it. Tom versus Time. It was a documentary series and a new episode dropped. It was like 10 episodes long that started. And it was all about
his infomercial, right?
Right. This is how great I am. And this is why I'm so great. And that's when everybody's like, yeah, we love the guy who would get up would throw 3 touchdown passes, 400 yards, and stand there and go out of his way to say, well, yeah, but he caught the ball. Yeah, I threw the ball because the line protected me. Or, hey, let's be honest, the defense. I mean, and that's when Joe and I started saying, okay, let's set our watches 5 years to hating Brady. Like we know when he gets out of football, we're going to hate. So the second to last year he was here. Now look, in that last Super Bowl to the Eagles, he threw for over 500 yards. That's not why the Patriots did not come out victorious. But it really soured a lot of people. The last year he was here, they went out and got Antonio Brown, but his drama, he played one game and he was suspended. Josh Gordon, who the team paid for rehab for 2 years and a personal guide and just couldn't stay clean. So it's not like the Patriots didn't go and spend money and try to make him happy and surrounded by weapons. But the Patriots at one point were like 8-0. They had the number one defense, but they were winning games 13-10, and Brady's numbers weren't great. And he would get up to the podium after a win and just be Mr. Sourpuss. And everybody knew he was leaving, and it wasn't good riddance. I still wish he was here. I say that emphatically. That said, the last 2 years he was here, it hurt the fandom. It hurt my fandom. It took the joy away.
I actually think it's somewhat like the Kobe Shaq thing where they were a better team with both of them together. But there seems to be clearly, part of it, I just got the impression, and you're much closer to it than I am, so you probably know, but I just thought this was really not about anything other than, Brady versus Belichick, right?
100%.
Right. And so it really was
100%.
It really seemed like another, Kobe Shaq thing where, if Shaq stuck around a little bit longer.
If Shaq, fuck that. If Shaq sticks around, they win 10. Honestly, I'll go to my grave saying this. Yeah. They challenged the 60s Celtics for the number of championships in a row.
So, I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, the other thing about it, though, is that, there's the athlete on the field or the, field of play, and then there's the person. And, especially now, because we have so much more exposure to these athletes, you're not going to necessarily like the guy, despite what they do, I mean, I haven't liked my favorite team's quarterback, for whatever, 12 years. What is it?
Right.
Ever since the freaking sexual assault thing, it's like, I wanted them to get rid of that guy. Hey, the guy's still around.
Hey, I'm going to sidebar. I don't know a Steelers fan who doesn't feel your way. I have so much respect for that fan base. When that shit went sideways, still, like you said, 12 years later are like, I'd rather lose without him than win with him. There's more important things. But as far as this goes, let me tell you why I hate the New England Patriots. Because last year, I just stopped listening to sports radio and my life got phenomenally better. Well, the toxicity and the obsessiveness, and dude, I wouldn't rearrange my schedule last year. Did I hope they win? Sure. But I would not listen to the pregame show for 3 hours before the game and 3 hours after. I turned the game on just when it kickoff. Oh, they won. That's great. Click. Time to go back to my life as soon as it was over. I turned the game on. Oh, they lost. What a bummer. Click, turn the TV off when it was over, and I got back to my life. I wasn't obsessed about it. And so I enjoyed the last year, Tom Brady was here. It wasn't that enjoyable. And last year with Cam Newton, I mean,
how many years have I been telling you to stop listening to sports?
But it's a disease. It's a disease. Yeah. It's like every time I go and see my doctor, it's a fucking broken record. It's the same thing over and over. Stop shooting heroin. Now, I forget what comedian says that, but it's true. So, but now it's like, they were 2-4 and two of their losses, they should have won. They snapped defeat from the jaws of victory. But you know what? You don't get points for almost winning. It is what it is. And I'm like, dude, we got a rebuilding year. This kid, Mac Jones, is going to be okay. Yeah. He's not going to be Brady. You know who is going to be Brady someday? Nobody ever. There's never been another Bobby Orr. There's never been. I mean, there are some players that you just. But my whole point is,
I used to think that way, right? But then I've been watching Connor McDavid, and oh my God.
Okay, put a pin in that. We're going to get back to him, because I heard the best quote about him the other day. But the The Patriots have now won 5 in a row, and they beat a couple of shitty dude.
Yeah,
the guys from FNH with you blocking and me throwing to All-Star, we'd be competitive against the Jets. Let's be honest. So a couple of the Patriots wins were against the Jets, but then everyone's like, okay, well, you know what? They're going on the road. They're going to play the Chargers. The Chargers are a real team, and they demolished them.
Yeah.
And then, next week, Cleveland's comes to town. They have the same record. They're both 5-4. This is a real team. Dude, it was
so
embarrassing.
that part of it speaks to how much you only pay attention to the Patriots, because the AFC is a mess.
It's a mess.
AFC is a mess.
But they're not beating these teams the last few weeks. They're demolishing them.
But look, I mean, this is how, and there is a little bit of a pass because of COVID circumstances, but this is a league where on a Thursday night, the Baltimore Ravens, who was supposed to be one of the elite teams, loses to the Miami Dolphins,
who suck.
Who suck. And all the Steelers have to do is beat the winless Detroit Lions.
How'd that work
tie
out?
them? What?
How'd that work out?
They didn't lose.
They did not lose. They kissed their sister.
Which was not, what's funny about it? I played an eliminator, one of those eliminator leagues, and my pick was the Pittsburgh Steelers that week. The only other guy left in the league, in the thing, picked the Ravens. And I'm still in it because apparently I'm in it as long as I don't lose.
You didn't lose. Oh,
I did not know that's how the rules worked. I thought you had to win. No, it's actually, if you don't lose, you're in it.
Here's my whole point. Dude, I'm back. Like the last 2 years. There's a wake. An immediate family member died. I'm not going to make it because the Patriots are playing. You know what I mean? I, for 20 years, rearranged flights. I lived on the other side of the world and would be up at 3 a.m. And it wasn't like I would tell myself, I'm going to bed at 6 or 7. I'm going to get a few hours of sleep. No, my stress and anxiety made me stay awake and listen. And I was out. I got clean, Biff. I got clean. And so today, because they play Thursday Night Football and we're recording on Friday, dude, here's how great sports radio is. I didn't hear one caller say this. I didn't hear 10 callers say this. I heard 20 callers say this, and Scott Solak say, you know what? If it was any other team, I say you're ridiculous, but I wouldn't put it past Bill. The Patriots won 25-0 last night.
Right.
They had a pick six, so that their field goal kicker kicked 4 field goals, 2 of them more than 50 yards last night. They get a pick six at the end of the game. It's 25-0. And this field goal kicker, who hasn't missed a field goal all year inside the 50. He's like 3 and 5 from field goals past 50. It's 25-0.
Right.
And he shanks a field goal. Right. You know what people in New England are talking about today?
Oh, good Lord. Why do you listen?
Do you know what people in New England were talking about?
You watch the game. Why do you need to listen to complete amateurs talk about the game?
No, this wasn't even amateurs. This was the this is a color commentator.
Whatever. There is no need for you to listen.
But guess what the conspiracy is?
What is it?
When the Patriots beat Atlanta in the Super Bowl, how much were they down by?
Oh my God.
Yes, they were down 28-3. So they got a pick six. They send the field goal kicker out who's kicked 251s, and he misses on purpose just so they control the Atlanta fan base and organization.
Oh my God.
Dude, I don't believe it, but that's what Sports Talk Radio is. I do want to talk about, I'm listening. Oh, fuck him. There was a guy on the Bruins. He came from Ottawa. You would know this better than I would. The Bruins picked up a free agent from Ottawa this past year who's been injured.
Who did they get from Ottawa? I mean, I only know Foligno is a big.
Foligno, thank you. It's Foligno.
That's Toronto.
No, but didn't he play in Edmonton? I'm sorry. Didn't he start in Ottawa?
Columbus.
I think he played in Ottawa. Anyways, because we were talking about his time in Ottawa. Anyways, they asked him about your boy Connor.
Yeah.
And he goes, the eye test and the highlights.
Yeah.
Is he really that much better? He's and dude, it was hilarious. He goes, I'll be honest. I've played against him. I've sat next to him. he was made in a lab. He's not real.
No,
And he was saying, he goes, every team in the NHL. So this was Foligno. By the way, is he related to Nick Foligno?
Mhm. He's a kid. He's the kid.
Nick Foligno?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes, he's the son.
The best, worst helmet from the 80s was Nick Foligno's fishbowl. Was that a fishbowl turned upside down?
Sure.
I mean, you say Nick Foligno, and as soon as I said Nick Foligno, you flashed that helmet in your head, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a look, right?
So he says every team in the NHL has a guy who can do what does what Connor does. The difference is the speed he does it at. Everybody has one guy on their team who, Patrice Bergeron will have 2 or 3 goals this year where he undresses 4 people. You know what I mean? He from the corner to the net, he'll go around 4 people. Everybody has one guy who's going to score a few of those goals this year on every team. He goes, but Connor does it every night at a speed.
Yeah. If you can't call what Connor does undressing if you're going to say what all these other guys do undressing. It's a completely different animal. He literally goes, he just kind of just goes in. There's 3 to 4 defenders literally waiting for them, and somehow it's like watching like those flash things where he just and like he just went by. It's like, and so last week he had one where he went in through 4 New York Rangers, and last night it was through 3 Winnipeg Jets. It's like, what the hell is that? And it's also the circumstance, right? It was a 0-0 game for the entire game, and then Winnipeg just scores, and then on the very next shift, the dude just grabs the puck from the neutral zone, and like it was probably 30 seconds after the Jets score that he just puts on his Superman move and ties the game up. It's ridiculous,
dude. It's when you're watching him, and honestly, for a split second, you feel bad for the people he's undressing. It's like you are going to see everybody in Canada is going to see this goal 10 times in the next 24 hours. And you are a first line NHL defenseman who was just had your pants pulled down and spanked.
Yeah. No, he's to me the first guy who is the Bobby Orr from the standpoint of the delta between him and everybody else. Right. That's what Bobby Orr had.
Because it did.
This is what this guy has.
Because when you watch old Bobby Orr footage, it's like, well, granted, I don't think they allowed back checking in the NHL to the mid 80s. First of all, everybody's played the Andy Selinger style of hockey to the mid 80s, but there are some times where you're like, are you fucking trying? Yeah. Like, were you trying to stop him? Because why the fucking frigging other team looked like the bubble hockey guys who were tied to the board and couldn't touch him. So McGregor, but it was funny to listen to Foligno on the Boston sports station the other day talking about it's not what he does that's so amazing, it's the speed in which he does it that is just blinding. So that's what I got. And we already mentioned Antonio Brown, and dude, are you up to speed on the fake vaccination card?
No, it's alleged. So I would say, let's make sure that it is legit, right? I mean, let's find out, because the NFL is now obligated to investigate this, I'm guessing. So I would say, just, what? I mean, given his past indiscretions, nothing will surprise me, but I mean, yeah.
Well, and the funny thing is, the person who ratted him out, this is what happened the last time for him. He hired somebody to be a personal trainer, in this case a chef, and he just didn't pay him. And he thought, oh, well, I send the guy to the store in my $300,000 car, and him getting around to drive my car and go to Conor McDavid with me, fights, that's the payment enough. I don't actually have to pay you. And the cook, who was like 10 grand, it's like, no, that was great. We went to the Conor McGregor fight. Thank you for taking me. I still have to pay my rent. I still have my mortgage. And those people are like the ones that he asked to do it and took the screen grabs of the conversations and sent it out to the meeting. It's like, hey, it's like, dude, why? This is what happened to him like 3 years ago. It could have all gone away, but penny wise, dollar foolish. But
yeah,
it could have happened to a nicer guy. What are you watching these days, Biff?
I was watching. I can't remember the name of the network, but I bookmarked it. There's a free. So my Samsung TV has this smart TV thing that essentially, I guess, captures all of these streaming channels from the web. And so this is where I found that Shout Factory that I told you about.
Yes.
A few weeks back. And I found another one where I was just kind of zipping around and I found That Girl. Do you remember that show?
Dude,
Marlo
Thomas?
Yeah.
Marlo the hat up?
That Girl. Yeah. So yeah.
Wait, didn't we spend the good time of this podcast talking about TV guys from the 70s?
Right. So I actually thought about that when you were, talking to, and the other thing I failed to mention it back then. The other thing great about the TV guides is that sometimes they sneak in some stupid descriptions that just to see if people catch it, right? So,
Yeah, Joe was going off about a couple of the breakdowns of the different shows episodes.
Yeah. But yeah, Marlo Thomas, and she's one of those people where people only remember her as in terms of what she did in the entertainment world doing That Girl. I don't know if she's done anything else. She comes from Hollywood royalty, right? Her dad is Danny Thomas. So now, and Danny Thomas is the one that started St. Jude, and her husband is Phil Donahue, right? So there's this weird thing where she's kind of not really known for what she kind of tried to do, but I think she's now like a spokesperson for St. Jude now. I think
she is. She is.
But I was watching. So I think I'm gonna start looking for those, goofy old 70s shows that didn't get the same run as of late. Just catching those things, because what was great to see was that's set in New York City, and now that I've visited New York City so much, now to see that 1970 New York City,
that's 74, 75.
Cool.
Yeah. When Manhattan wasn't the Manhattan of 2020.
Well, Times Square.
Dude, it is awful. What do you got? Well, I will tell you, I haven't got a chance yet, even though I had my friend upload it. I plan on watching Frankenstein Creates a Woman. If I can, management might have some stuff for us to watch, but yeah, because a bunch of new stuff has come out. You got a parenting tip?
Have your kids find the great places to eat, and then they'll offer to drive you there if you're willing to pay. So I said, yeah, I'll freaking a night out drinking and eating with your friends. Yeah, that's cool. I'd like to not have to drive. And, when I, get my son's not, he's not a drinker. So he's all for, as long as I'm paying for it, he's fine with me getting drunk.
Well, where did you go to eat?
Well, we haven't gone there yet, but him and his friends have found this place near our house. It's one of those kind of like burger-ish bar. It's one of those burger places that have a great beer selection, apparently. So they seem to like it. So yeah.
So my parenting tip of the week is bribes work.
Of course,
bribes work. My Joe's Basement retro video game night last Wednesday. I threw like, hey, maybe people would like to do a little cosplay. So my 11-year-old, who knew he had some friends coming, but really kind of wanted to, but kind of didn't want to throw on the Mario outfits.
Sure, right.
That
could go either way.
Yeah. Little something for the effort, we'll say.
Yeah.
Rectified that, and then he was happy he did it, like, because especially when the lady from the newspaper is like, oh, can I take your picture? It's like, yes, you can. So I don't know if they'll use that or whatever, but he'll be internet famous because he can send his friends a link if that happens. But my parenting tip for this week: bribes work. They do.
Yep, absolutely.
Before I leave on our last song, what we'll go out on, I'm going to tell you a quick story. I'm on a text chain with our old bass player, John in Austin, our guitar player, Roddy in North Carolina, and of course, Dan. And our friend Kim, not my sister Kim, a friend of ours who funded everything in the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
The five of us are still pretty close. I guess Rod was talking to one of his friends, and he lives in South, Mass. I guess in the late. Yeah, no, I went to school in 89, late 90, when we just started to be a band, and I was putting the cart before the horse and wanted to play out. Dude, we had no access to recording equipment.
Sure, right.
We had no access to making tapes. So I guess my buddy Rod said, yeah, his friend from his hometown was talking to somebody who used to book a club that I got as a gig at. And apparently, now I'm not saying I didn't do this. I just have no recollection of doing it. I have very little recollection from 86 to about 96. Like that decade is gone for various reasons. I may or may not have taken a old cassette, or it was new at the time, a cassette tape.
Okay.
And I did have access to a CD player that you could record on the same boombox.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah.
And I guess they were, nobody knew who they were yet. I just knew about them in 1990 because I played junior hockey with the drummer's brother. But I guess I took a Buffalo tape CD, their first CD, put a couple songs on a tape, put Beyond It, and sent it to a club. And that's how we got booked. Now,
wow.
My friend has the tape. He's like, yeah, my friend, I guess like they were cleaning old tapes. I was like, oh, Buffalo Tom, Beyond It. My friend was in that band. He plays is like, wait, this is it's off their first album. Like I said, they were on a European label. Like Buffalo Tom would go over to. They were huge in Belgium. I'm not being funny. They were really big in Belgium and the Netherlands. They would come back here and play on a Tuesday night at TT the Bears in front of 15 people. But Tom McGinnis, the drummer, I played juniors with Hugh McGinnis, and that's the reason. And that's how I knew, Buffalo Tom. And in all fairness, I'm going to say the first 20 songs we ended up learning or making ourselves sounded like Buffalo Tom songs anyway. So I wasn't that far off. But I was just talking to Joe about this song. I talked about this song. It's called Sober with Scotty Black before that.
Okay.
It came on one Friday night in the parking lot. Like, it was probably my iPod. That's how long ago it was on shuffle, and we were having some beers, and the song Sober came up, and I'm like, I looked at Scotty. I'm like, I will never be able to play that song again. It's like, dude, I have no idea how I was able to play. So so on my, not my New Year's resolution, but my list of, I want to be able to do things this year. And I said, I want to record like 2 songs with Dan. I want to play a few shows, but I want to be able to play everything before. Yeah. And it took me 2 to 3 months to be able to play this song. And if I went a week or two without playing and I sat down, dude, I could play it. If I was playing my own song on Guitar Hero, I'd score high 70s, low 90s, but it is fucking fast. And it's like, and even now it's like, because Dan doesn't want to play, I haven't been practicing as much. Right. And I said that to Joe the other day. It's like, if I want to play this song on the drums again, it would take me 2 or 3 weeks to build up, that. But that said, the song we're going out on it is Sober. And the last 10 seconds, the last 10 minutes, it's all up to you.
Last 10 minutes. Oh my God. You think I'm like a windbag like you? So yeah. Anyway, so hey, kind of a rough few days on the news, hey? So we kind of touched on it early on. And with all of this stress going on, really, it's got to a point where it's really important that you don't forget. There's a choice I take.